Many of us grew up thinking that the story of Filipino food started when Spanish ships arrived. We were taught to see our cooking as a bunch of borrowed recipes, a food scene mostly shaped by people from other countries. We often hear that our most loved dishes, like adobo, were gifts from Spain, or that our party food wouldn't be complete without the influence of those who ruled us. This way of thinking, though common, is a huge oversimplification. It misses the rich, lively, and complicated food culture that was thriving in our islands long before any foreign ships reached our shores. The real story of Filipino food isn't about copying others, but about a deep, local foundation that has cleverly changed and taken in influences over hundreds of years. The truth is, the heart of our cooking isn't in a Spanish cookbook or an American pantry. It lives in the soil of our islands, in the salt of our seas, and in the cleverness of our ancestors. Before the names adobo or care were even spoken, our people were already experts at living off their land. They understood the rhythm of the seasons, the gifts of the forests, and the treasures of the waters. They came up with brilliant ways to cook, save, and celebrate food using what the islands gave them. This is the real beginning of our food journey, a story of people deeply connected to their land, creating food that was truly and uniquely their own, born from need and creativity. Imagine a time when cooking was like talking to nature. Our ancestors didn't need foreign lessons to know that vinegar and salt could keep meat from going bad in our humid weather. They didn't need a written recipe to understand that wrapping food in leaves would give it a nice smell while cooking it perfectly. These methods weren't just about surviving. They were the first steps of a cooking masterpiece. They formed the base of our food identity, showing a smart understanding of taste and how things work. To truly enjoy our food, we must first recognize and respect these local roots that have been feeding us for generations. This essay invites you to come with me on a trip to find the real history of Filipino cooking again. We will peel back the layers of foreign influence to show the lively core that's underneath. We will question the old myths and celebrate the untold stories of our most famous dishes. It's time to look at our plates not as mirrors showing other cultures, but as maps that trace a path back to our own amazing history. Let's put aside the familiar tales and listen to the quiet voices of our ancestors, carried in the steam rising from a pot of simmering stew and the smell of freshly harvested rice. Long before the first foreign traders arrived, the Philippines was a busy place with many communities that had smart food systems. Our ancestors were brilliant inventors, and their kitchen was the islands themselves. They looked for wild greens in the mountains, fished in the rich seas, and grew rice in amazing terraces built by hand. Their cooking methods were a direct response to the weather and the things they had. Roasting, or iha, steaming like halibos or pinaupo, and boiling called nilaga were basic ways of cooking. These methods were simple but powerful, made to bring out the natural tastes of fresh ingredients without making them too strong, a rule that still defines much of our cooking today. One of the most important local methods was kinala, a way of cooking raw seafood in the sourness of vinegar or citrus juices like calamansi or dayap. This is our version of ceviche, but old records show our kinala is much older. It shows how well our ancestors understood food science, using acid to change the proteins in the fish, making it firm and tasty. Found in almost every town by the sea across the islands, kinala is perhaps the clearest example of our food identity. It's a dish that speaks of the sea, of freshness, and of a clever spirit that existed before any foreign contact. Saving food was another key part of early Filipino cooking, born out of the need to make food last in a tropical climate. Our ancestors were experts at using salt and vinegar. They dried fish under the sun to make daing or tuyo, and fermented fish or shrimp with salt to create bagoong and patis. These fermented sauces became the flavor backbone of our cooking, giving a savory, rich taste that we still love today. These methods weren't just useful, they changed things, creating new complex flavors from simple ingredients, and making sure that nothing from the land or sea went to waste. This base of local ingredients and methods is the true heart of Filipino food. Think of the sourness from our native vinegars, the saltiness from our sea salt and fermented fish sauces, and the gentle sweetness from coconut milk. These are the flavors of our islands. Using leaves like banana, taro, or pandan for wrapping and flavoring food is another old practice that continues to this day. Understanding this local food scene is very important. It shows that our cooking was never an empty page waiting to be written on. It was already a rich and complex story, telling the tale of clever and creative people. One of the biggest mistaken ideas in Filipino cooking is that adobo is a Spanish dish. The name itself, which comes from the Spanish word adobar meaning to marinate, has led to this common misunderstanding. However, the cooking process at the heart of adobo, cooking meat slowly in vinegar and salt or soy sauce, is a local Filipino practice. Our ancestors developed this method long before the Spanish came as a way to keep meat fresh in the hot and humid weather. The vinegar acted as a natural way to preserve food, stopping bacteria from growing and making sure food would last longer without needing a fridge. This method was a key part of surviving and shows how clever we were with food. When the Spanish rulers arrived in the 1500s, they saw this cooking method that looked familiar. They saw Filipinos cooking their meats in a sour, savory liquid, and using their own cooking words, they called it adobo. The name stuck, but the dish itself stayed truly Filipino. The original adobo would have used salt instead of soy sauce, which only came later from Chinese traders. The main ingredients, local vinegar, garlic, peppercorns, and bay leaves from our own lands, were already common in the Filipino kitchen before the Spanish came. The Spanish might have given it a name, but the heart and soul of adobo belonged to us. The way adobo has changed over time is a beautiful example of our food history. As new ingredients became available through trade, the recipe changed. When Chinese merchants brought soy sauce, it added a new salty and rich flavor, creating the dark, savory adobo that many of us know and love today. In different areas, the dish kept changing, showing local tastes and what was available. In southern Luzon, coconut milk is added to make adobo sagata, while in some versions from the Visayas, anato, or achuete, is used for a reddish color and a slightly peppery taste. This ability to change is a special mark of Filipino cooking. So, the next time someone calls adobo something inherited from Spain, we can proudly share its true story. It's a dish born from the wisdom of our ancestors, a cooking method perfected in our tropical weather. It has traveled through time, taking in new influences without ever losing its Filipino identity. Adobo isn't just a dish, it's a statement of our cooking independence. It shows our ability to create, to adapt, and to make something that is so deeply our own. It is the clear national dish, not because of a foreign name, but because of its deep, strong roots in our native soil. Kare, with its rich, nutty sauce and colorful mix of vegetables, is a dish wrapped in a fascinating mystery. Unlike adobo, its beginnings are not as easy to trace, leading to several interesting ideas that show the many different influences on our cooking. One popular story connects kare to the sepoy soldiers from southern India who settled in the Philippines during the British takeover of Manila in the 1760s. It's said that these soldiers, missing their native curry, tried to make the dish using local ingredients. Since they didn't have their usual spices, they used ground peanuts and toasted rice to make a thick, savory sauce, resulting in a dish they called kari-kari, or curry-like. Another interesting origin story points to the wealthy people of Pampanga before the Spanish came. Known as the food capital of the Philippines, Pampanga has a long history of creating fancy and complicated dishes. Some food historians believe that the rich families of Pampanga created kare as a grand dish to impress their guests, showing off their cooking skills. This idea is supported by how complex the dish is, which involves cooking oxtail slowly until it's super tender and making a sauce from scratch by toasting and grinding peanuts and rice. This version highlights the dish's local roots as a celebration food, a masterpiece of local cooking art. A third story connects kare to the galleon trade and the kitchens of rich Manila homes. It's suggested that the Spanish elite enjoyed the dish during their fancy parties. This idea doesn't say the recipe itself is Spanish, but rather places its popularity within the social setting of colonial Manila. No matter which story is most true, they all point to a dish with a rich, layered history. Whether it was an invention by Indian soldiers, a creation of Pampanga nobles, or a party dish from colonial times, kare is like a food puzzle that shows the Philippines' place as a meeting point of cultures. No talk about kare is complete without giving credit to its essential partner, bagoong alamang, or fermented shrimp paste. The dish itself is purposely not very salty, with the sauce being rich and earthy rather than savory. It's the bagoong that completes the flavor, giving a sharp, salty, and rich taste that cuts through the richness of the peanut sauce and makes the vegetables sweeter. This pairing is a perfect example of the Filipino idea of turno, or complementary flavors. The bagoong isn't just a side dish, it's a key part, the soulmate that unlocks kare's true and best taste. While our cooking is mainly local, it has been beautifully made richer by hundreds of years of trade and talking with other cultures. The Chinese, who have been trading with the Philippines long before the Spanish arrived, brought many ingredients and cooking methods that we have smoothly brought into our own food style. They brought noodles, which turned into countless local versions like pancit palabok, pancit habhab, and la paz bachoy. Each area took the basic idea of noodles and made it uniquely their own, using local ingredients and flavors to create a dish that tells a story of its place. The Chinese also introduced us to soy sauce, or toyo, bean curd known as tokwa, and the art of stir-frying, which we call gisa. The simple act of cooking garlic, onions, and tomatoes in oil is the basic gisa that starts many of our most loved dishes, from stews to vegetable stir-fries. Spring rolls, known to us as lumpia, are another direct food relative from Chinese cooking. Yet we have changed them into something uniquely Filipino. We have fresh lumpia filled with heart of palm, or ubad, and tasty fried lumpia stuffed with ground meat and vegetables, always served with a spiced vinegar dipping sauce that firmly places the dish in our flavor world. The American colonial period, though much shorter, also left a lasting mark on our food culture, especially in how we approach desserts and easy-to-make foods. The introduction of pressure cooking, fridges, and canned goods changed how Filipinos cooked and ate. Processed meats like Spam, corned beef, and Vienna sausages became common pantry items, often fried with garlic rice and eggs to create the popular Silog breakfast meals. These dishes show our amazing ability to take foreign products and make them part of our daily lives, creating new comfort foods that feel completely our own. American influence is perhaps most clear in our love for sweet desserts and cold treats. They brought ingredients like mayonnaise, which we cleverly used in our chicken salads and macaroni salads, often making them sweeter to fit our local taste. The introduction of ice cream, cake-making methods, and ketchup also made our food choices wider. The famous Filipino spaghetti, with its sweet tomato sauce, sliced hot dogs, and lots of cheese, is a perfect example of this mix. It's a dish that takes an Italian-American idea and changes it through a distinctly Filipino view, becoming a loved staple at kids' parties and family gatherings across the nation. Beyond the well-known common foods of our cooking lies a hidden treasure of less-known native ingredients that tell a deeper story of our land and heritage. These ingredients, found only in certain areas, are the heart of our varied natural life and food identity. In the Bicol region, for example, the pili nut is king. This buttery, tasty nut is not only eaten as a snack, but is also used in desserts and savory dishes, giving a richness that is special to Bicolano cooking. Similarly, the tabon, a small green fruit found in Mindanao, has a unique quality. When its flesh is scraped and mixed with vinegar, it removes the fishy taste in quinola, a secret that has been passed down through generations. The mountains of the Cordilleras offer another set of unique ingredients shaped by the cool weather and high altitude. Here you will find etag, a type of salt-cured and air-dried or smoked pork that is a prized delicacy among the Igorot people. Its strong, smoky, and salty flavor is a key part of traditional dishes like pinikpikan. The Cordilleras are also home to old rice types with distinct colors, textures, and smells, each one tied to the specific community that grows it. These ingredients are more than just food. They carry cultural identity, kept and celebrated by the local communities of the region. Our waters also give us unique flavors. In the Visayas, a seaweed called lato or sea grapes is a common tasty food. These tiny, shiny green bubbles pop in your mouth, releasing a fresh, salty taste of the ocean. It is often served as a simple salad with tomatoes, onions, and a splash of vinegar, a perfect match for grilled fish. Another unique ingredient is diwal, or angel wing clams, which are found in the waters of Capiz and are famous for their incredibly sweet and tender meat. These regional specialties show how our cooking is closely connected to the specific natural environments of our islands. These native ingredients are vital to understanding the full range of Filipino food. They are a reminder that our food scene is much more diverse than what is commonly seen in regular restaurants. From the sour batuan fruit used in Ilonggo soups to the fragrant alibangbang leaves used to make things sour in central Luzon, each ingredient holds a piece of our history and a taste of our land. Celebrating and keeping these ingredients is not just about food, it is about protecting our natural variety and honoring the old knowledge that has kept our people going for hundreds of years. We must value them as the precious jewels of our food heritage. The story of Filipino food is, most of all, a story of amazing creativity and strength. Our cooking is a living example of our ability to change, create new things, and make something beautiful out of whatever life throws our way. Faced with hot weather, we became experts at keeping food fresh with vinegar and salt. When new ingredients arrived on our shores through trade or ruling, we didn't just copy foreign recipes. We welcomed these new things and made them our own. We added our own flavors, changed them to fit our own cooking methods, and made them part of our own culture, creating dishes that are uniquely and wonderfully Filipino. This creative spirit is clear in our idea of sausawan or dipping sauces. A Filipino meal is often not complete without a bunch of these sauces on the side. A simple plate of grilled fish or pork can be changed by a dip of soy sauce with calamansi and chili, a spicy vinegar with crushed garlic, or a strong bagoong with tomatoes. This practice lets the person eating choose, allowing each person to make their meal taste how they like it. It's a fair and interactive way of eating that shows our flexible and community-focused nature. The sausawan isn't an afterthought. It's a way we show our individual and group creativity at the dining table. Our strength shines through in how we practice the idea of wala ay tapon, or nothing is wasted. This way of thinking is at the heart of many of our most famous dishes. For example, with a pig, almost every part is used. The meat is used for stews and roasts, the head and cheeks for sisig, the insides for dinuguan, the legs for crispy pata, and the bones for broth. This nose-to-tail way of cooking isn't a new trend for us. It's an old practice born from respect for the animal and a practical understanding of not having much. It's a cooking tradition that honors life by making sure nothing valuable is ever thrown away. In the end, to be proud of Filipino food is to be proud of our history. Our cooking tells the story of our island's natural gifts, our ancestors' cleverness, the waves of people moving and trading that have shaped us, and our strong spirit when facing hard times. It's a cuisine of complex flavors, sour, salty, sweet, and savory, that dance together perfectly. It's a cuisine of being resourceful, of community, and of celebration. Every dish, from the simplest bowl of sinigang to the most elaborate party spread, is a delicious story of who we are as a people: strong, able to adapt, and always creative. Food is more than just something to eat. It's memories, history, and who we are served on a plate. The dishes we've talked about aren't just recipes, they are stories of our country. But the big story of Filipino cooking is also made up of countless smaller, more personal stories, your stories. Think about the food that defines your family. Is it your grandmother's sinigang, perfectly sour with the tamarind from her backyard? Is it your father's special adobo, a secret recipe that has been the highlight of every family gathering? These dishes are your personal treasures, passed down through generations. These food memories connect us to our past and to each other. The smell of a particular dish can take us back to our childhood kitchens, to festive holiday tables, and to quiet moments shared with loved ones. The taste of a specific kakanin might remind you of the town fiesta, while a simple bowl of arroz caldo can make you feel cared for when you were sick. These experiences through our senses are strong threads that weave together the fabric of our lives, connecting us to our roots and reminding us where we come from. They are the flavors of home, the tastes that define our personal histories. I invite you to take a moment to think about your own food history. What are the stories behind the food you eat? Talk to your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, and your uncles. Ask them about the dishes they grew up with. Write down those family recipes, not just the ingredients and instructions, but the stories that come with them. Who taught them how to cook it? When was it usually served? What makes your family's version special? By doing this, you are not just saving a recipe, you are becoming a keeper of your family's legacy, a guardian of your personal history. Let's keep this conversation going beyond this essay. Share your food memories and traditions with your friends, your children, and your community. Post a photo of your family's special dish. Write about a dish that means a lot to you, or simply start a conversation at your next meal about the food on the table. Every story shared adds another bright thread to the rich and beautiful tapestry of Filipino cooking. For in every kitchen and at every dining table across our islands and beyond, the history of our people is being told, one delicious meal at a time. Let's all listen, share, and celebrate.